Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening in today. This is Brad Buckles with Viva ENT Radio. Johnny Gargano, our host weekly, is out today, and I am going to be standing in with him as the co-host. My name is Brad Buckles, and I work with bridesclub.com. On the air today with me, today I'm excited to introduce Michelle with Essence Events. Michelle, would you like to say good morning or good afternoon?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, thank you. We are broadcasting live at KLAY down at Tacoma, Washington, but we should also announce that on 1180.com we're broadcasting worldwide, so you can come find us digitally and you can find us off each one of our websites. Michelle, tell everybody what you do real quickly.
So I am a local wedding and event planning company based out of Tacoma, and we're mostly a one-stop shop for wedding planning needs, photography, photo booth, and more.
And you've been doing this for some 15 years or so that I know of.
Yeah, 15 years. And last year we got voted Best of 2016 for wedding planning and consulting by the City of University Place. Yeah.
I saw that. You've gotten a couple awards in the last year, it sounds like.
I did. Yeah, we're doing pretty good over here.
So what is it, as we get started here this morning, we talk about events, and we talk about weddings, and we talk about Christmas parties. Of course, Johnny is super involved in Viva ENT production, DJ, music. He has the casino tables. He has all kinds of opportunities to entertain. But I wanted to kind of focus in today on some of the planning and some of the things that take place in putting the event together from behind the scenes. So what is it, like one of your key successes in putting events together? What is it that you bring to the table that makes people come back to you or like your way of doing things?
I think it really comes down to what each person wants is so different, and each event is unique, and they appreciate that I have the ability to read them really well and to communicate with them in what their overall outcome is. And sometimes they get stuck. And, you know, in the beginning, it's a little easy, and they find all their vendors, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, where do I go from here? So in that, you know, offering checklists of what they can get done for that month so they're not overwhelmed kind of helps out. And then
you find a lot of times that they just aren't sure what they want, like they know one or two or three things that are exciting for them, but they just don't know how to do it, or do they just not know what they want?
I think, you know, it's probably equally the same. Some come to me and they have a complete vision of what they want, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's not within the scope of their budget, but I do give them options of, hey, you can do this, and this will stay in your budget, and you'll still have the overall look and feel that you're going for. And then some come to us and they're like, oh, my goodness, I have no idea what to do. You know, I'm not one of those people who dreamed of having a wedding from, you know, the time I was a little girl. But then we can kind of figure out through questions of getting to know them personally, what things matter to them. Like we had some couples do like little Lego figurines for their cake toppers, and we've had some come in the bride riding in on a horse and then getting off just before the aisle.
Like a real horse? Like a
real horse. Yeah, this was out at Thurston County Fairgrounds. It was one of the most memorable weddings that I've ever done.
And the bride came in on riding a horse.
The bride rode in from the side all the way up, being led. The horse was led by her father all the way up to the end of the aisle, and then her father helped her off of the horse and then walked her down the aisle.
Nice. Yeah. That would have been quite the photo opportunity.
Yeah. So, you know, in everyday life, people are unique and different and enjoy different things. And,
sure,
you know, when we're building relationships and life in general, we get to know people and what their likes are, what their dislikes are. And it's kind of similar. I deal with my clients the same way. They become like family. Sometimes I have them for 2 years or more where we're planning everything out. And so it becomes where, like, they'll refer me to maybe other friends once their wedding is done, and then they are an extension, you know, of the Essence of Events family as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. So. What made you come up with Essence of Events? What was the story behind the name, or how did this all start?
So my daughter, her name is Essence, actually. And I started the company 6 months after she was born. And I wanted a legacy for her. And I wanted it to be a family-based business where people felt comfortable with me, and, you know, the people that I work with or work with me as well. I kind of view them as my family. They're a team. You know, we all work together to get things done. So, and then just the essence is essentially, you know, what makes something what it is. And each event that we throw is completely different from any other one. So it becomes unique and its own individuality. So I love the name.
I think it's very unique. I've known you for years, and I've never asked you that question, but I thought today I'm going to find out just what the whole essence behind the essence is.
Yeah, it's my daughter. She's the reason for... Yeah, she's wonderful. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, I got into this industry because I grew up in the industry. My mom did cakes and decor and catering for weddings. We had weddings out of our house and parties. And so from a young age, I just got so used to doing all these events, and it just was in my blood. And I'm really passionate about it and making other people happy and seeing the end result.
So you obviously do a great job. I mean, people talk about it. They love you. They love the product. They love the story. And, you know, it works really well.
Thank you. Yeah, and my daughter, you know, she's following in my footsteps. She has a better eye than me sometimes. And her style is completely different from mine. And things that I wouldn't think necessarily would go together, she makes it look wonderful. So
isn't it funny how that happens?
Yeah, with each generation, you know, I think it gets better and better. And seeing the trends evolve and how things come about, and keeping an eye out of what is new and upcoming, you know, in this industry is very, very important. So she also helps with that too, which is nice.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to back up a second. Now that we know who you are and what you do, I wanted to back up a second and make sure we tell the listeners about the wedding expos that are going to be taking place here in a couple of weeks. We start from bridesclub.com putting on the fall wedding expos. Of course, you'll be there. But
I'll be there. The 9th and 10th September, right?
Yep, September 9th and 10th at the Tacoma.
I'll be in the booths 706 and 708.
There you go. Kind of like home. We've been doing the bridal shows there at the Tacoma Dome for 26 years, and it's been an honor, much like your passion. I love expos. I love the big day and bringing everything together. A little bit different twist, but brides from the Tacoma area have been coming to the Tacoma Dome for 26 years, and they can find all the information for the tickets and the fashion show and the various different vendors at bridesclub.com. We're going to start September 9th and 10th at the Tacoma Dome. Then we go 16th and 17th of September up to Everett, and we're at Xfinity Arena. And then we finalize the tour October 8th at the Maidenbower. And we've been doing shows in these venues for some 20 years. And thanks to vendors like you, Michelle, and others like Johnny, it's been a long, fun run.
Yeah, and you know what's so great about the shows too is not only is it helpful for the brides and grooms and couples and family coming through, but it's also great for the vendors too. And you know, we run into a lot of vendors that we work with on a regular basis and on a lot of venues, and so that kind of keeps us all working as a team and a unit too, which then passes on to the couples, and you can kind of see the vibes and the good energy too from people, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me that I can go to a wedding or we can go to a Christmas party, let's say, you know, the other half of the year, and I can walk in and see an event that you're doing or an event that Johnny's been at, or we can just name lots of names of people we know. And you can tell instantly when the vendors are gelling together and when it works well, and they all just kind of work, or you can tell instantly when it's not. It's always been fun to me to kind of go, I want the event like Michelle does, where she knows the DJ and she knows the caterer and she knows the cake, and you just walk in and go, we work together. That's what we do.
Yeah, I am very social. So, but I do love my vendors, like the people that I build relationships with. You know, whether they be newer vendors or in the industry for a long time. I just enjoy, for the most part, they're really passionate about what they do, and I enjoy hearing stories and the events they're working on or the ones we're working on together. And I think it keeps a line of communication, and then it shows through on the day of the event, like you said, where you just can feel the good energy and things flow really smoothly. I always liken it to like directing a play. Like all of the actors, do their part. You work as a team, and overall, you put on this beautiful play that turns out wonderful.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. So to wrap up real quickly on this particular segment, I'm with Michelle at Essence of Events. And Michelle, give us your website and give us your phone number.
My website is essenceofevents.com, and my phone number is 253-820-8969.
8969. For 15 years, she's been doing weddings pretty much all over the southern part of the Puget Sound, correct?
Yeah, the Pacific Northwest. I mean, we do Polesville, Ellensburg, down to Centralia. I've actually done a few weddings in Hawaii, too. I know you have a couple shows you do over there for the Brides Club Expos, too. But
yeah, I grew up in Hawaii. Yeah. Hawaii has been a significant part of our family. In fact, I'll be there next Monday. But
nice.
Yeah, we go back.
Yeah, we do all of Seattle and Old Tacoma.
All over the Pacific. So we are going to take a break and go to station identification and hear a word from our sponsors. Johnny Gargano with Viva Entertainment is out for the day, so I'm hosting with Michelle. We're kind of co-hosting this next half an hour or so. When we come back, we'll get to find out a little bit more about tips and trends with Michelle with Essence of Events. We want to talk about some of the new things that are coming out. And then, of course, the last half of the hour, we're going to hear from Deana Martin, which was one of my favorite, best interviews of all time. Johnny and I had the opportunity to talk to Deana Martin, who, of course, is the daughter of Dean Martin. And, of course, not need to say any more about that. We'll be playing a few songs, and we'll be talking a little about her. If you don't know who Deana Martin is, she is fantastic. She's beautiful. She is absolutely friendly, and she is a massive entertainer, very popular, and a hit sensation internationally. But for one reason or another, several people just don't seem to know too much about her here in the Pacific Northwest. So we're going to help change that when we come back on the back half of the hour. Go ahead and take a break and go to station identification and hear a word from our sponsor.
Going swimming in bikinis, walking on a wiggling by, yeah, yeah, yeah. On the beaches, oh what peaches, so pretty Lord I could cry. I'm just a red-blooded boy and I can't stop thinking about it.
This is Brad Buckles back with Viva ENT this afternoon. We're here in Seattle, Washington. My co-host, Michelle with Essence of Events. Michelle, would you like to say hello?
Hello, this is Michelle with Essence of Events. You can find us at essenceofevents.com.
We've been talking this morning about some of the things that we do in the industry, whether they be weddings or corporate events. Michelle was telling us a little bit about her daughter and the name of the company, Essence of Events. Of course, her daughter's name is Essence, and some of the successes that they've had in the last several years. I'm Brad Buckles with bridesclub.com, and we have the Wedding Expos starting September 9th and 10th at the Tacoma Dome. All that information is at bridesclub.com. We're going to talk here for about another 15 minutes, and then the back half of the hour, we'll be talking to Deana Martin. Deana Martin is the son of Dean Martin and was probably my favorite interview of all time in the last several years that we've done Viva Entertainment. Johnny is out this afternoon, and we're covering for him, and, of course, just getting to know Michelle a little bit better. Michelle, we were talking earlier, and you mentioned something about tips and trends and things that happen in the marketplace. Tell us kind of what we're going to see here in the next year of some new things that are taking place in entertainment and parties.
Well, I think it's really interesting that there are a lot more games being played at weddings and different events. I know one that's really popular has been the shoe game. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but
I did it just last Saturday at a wedding.
Did you really? See?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more popular. I think because it involves the crowd, it kind of makes them laugh a little bit more, and the couple, they get a kick out of it too, because a lot of times they don't even know the questions that they're going to get asked. So
and for
it's
our
really
listeners,
fun.
How would you describe the shoe game? I mean, it is entertainment, of course, but the shoe game,
Yes.
How would you define that?
So the couple goes out on the floor, and they sit back to back, and they take off both of their shoes, which that is funny enough at that point. Then they swap one shoe from each other, and they have to answer questions with the bride with her shoe, if it's her, for the answer to the question, or the groom, his shoe. So they raise it at the same time, and since they're back-to-back, they can't see each other. But then DJ will ask random questions like, who is going to be the one to take care of the chores or do the dishes? And then they both raise it at the same time, and they have no idea what the other's going to say. Whose shoe is going to get raised.
It's always funny to me as we do that. I think, like you mentioned earlier, it's a lot of fun for the crowd.
Yes.
What I've always found interesting was how well people do and do not know each other. You know, as we write these questions, or as we kind of extemporaneously throw out these questions, for those of you who don't know, this is usually played in the middle of a reception after the cake is cut or after dinner, most of the time. And people are starting to warm up, and they've had a few drinks, and we start firing off questions like who made the first move, or who kissed whom first, or who carries more cash in their pocket. And it's interesting. Some of them are really in sync. Like, they get every question perfectly.
Yeah.
Some people don't know at all. It's hilarious how you wonder how they've ever dated, because they just don't seem to know anything.
I think it's definitely great entertainment to do, like, before even the first dances. It kind of livens up the mood of the room after dinner. You know, there can be sometimes a little bit of a lull because people get comfortable in their seats, but to do that is so much fun, and the crowd just, like, has a kick with it. They just laugh so hard.
And that's kind of interesting, your perspective on that, because that's why most people hire a professional coordinator like yourself, because they don't know these dips and these various different energy levels at an event. And sometimes by having you there, you're able to tell them what some of the consistencies or the inconsistencies are.
Yeah, I mean, there are times where I can, like, go up to the DJ and be like, hey, we need to, like, speed things up a little bit. And, you know, maybe we'll throw in, you know, this event, or, you know, switch it to this song, or make an announcement for this, you know, because maybe like even the guest book, you notice, hasn't really been signed, or favors are still sitting out, you know, making an announcement to the guests that that's still available, or, you know, that they're welcome to, you know, come up for a toast, that it's open toasting, you know, anything like that, where there's a lull for a little bit. And the DJs help out a lot with that as well.
Oh, sure. Well, it's always easy to say, let's do the electric slide, and everybody runs out to the floor, right?
Not so much anymore for the electric slide, unfortunately.
You know what's strange about that? I would agree up until about 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
6 months ago, electric slide has come back. I am amazed how many times I get that song requested.
That's funny because, see, for me, I've noticed, like, the Cupid Shuffle is huge.
That's a big one.
I don't even know it. I tried one time to figure it out, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You're a coordinator. You're not a dancer, huh?
Oh, I love dancing, but I'm working, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I meant the day of, not in personal life, right?
Yeah, no, in personal life, I'm a huge dancer. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. I wanted to ask you maybe something else that's taking place in the trends that you see. Various different, I don't know, give me a new decor item, or give me something new, like, I don't know. What else do you see that's kind of fun?
I got a lot. So circle arches are huge. You've probably already seen them, like, on several websites or on Pinterest, but
we're in the
they're circular, and you can put garland on them or do a whole floral ring around them. So instead of using an arbor, which usually they tend to be rectangle,
right,
or just like an easy arch, these ones go all the way in a full circle.
I love
they're really cool, and they're unique and different. And then there's also been a lot of uses of open doors.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like open frames, and then the doors, you can hang flowers from them and whatnot, and that's really, really pretty.
And these are like doors and windows and things that have been brought out of barns that have been taken apart. This is like recycled stuff, right?
Yes and no. We actually had a couple, their family built a frame and then put newer doors on them and then put like a sign up above them. You can see them on our blog too at essenceofevents.com. And they just made their own. And then there are wood benches instead of ceremony chairs, which look really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And allow the guests to kind of see a little bit better since they're sitting on a bench. And then bright colors. Bright colors are huge. They're going to be more and more. You're going to see more brighter colors.
Now,
I know that
bright colors,
lately,
you mean like going back to the 80s colors, right? Like neon?
Like neon colors or just primary colors. Because, we've seen a lot over the past year or so, the blush, the cranberry, the champagne. But we're going to start seeing more of a trend of brighter pops of color, at least an accent of a primary bright color, which is really going to be awesome. I love bright colors.
I think it's fantastic when you go out like a day like today. Here's a typical August Saturday, and you have the beautiful sun, and it's outdoors, and people are all excited. They get dressed up and they head out to a early afternoon or late afternoon wedding, and then you see kind of what has been up until now, the mason jars, the barnyard stuff, and I just kind of go, blah.
Yeah.
Personally,
it's been around for a long time. Yeah.
But I didn't like it when it was brand new, but
I didn't either, Brad.
Lately, I've been seeing a lot of real white. I've been seeing blues and reds, we went to a wedding not too long ago that was just yellow. And
it just makes it, happy. People show up and it's just bright and happy, which is
the wedding
really
I did on Saturday was just yellow, and they had yellow this and yellow that and yellow on top of yellow, and I thought, God, this is like living. It's bright. It's like a celebration.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Exactly. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and then there's also a newer trend, too. Like you said, I think the rustic thing is, I think it'll always be there, but I think we're seeing more of a trend with Beauty and the Beast coming out in the spring. There's definitely been a trend of the Beauty and the Beast wedding, or the theme wedding for Disney, and all kinds of more elegant type decor.
I think the formalized, the navy uniforms, the various different candelabras, the really, really tall vases, that kind of decor that brings out a little bit formality or allows you a little bit of unique look has always screamed wedding to me. I mean, I just think it does. And we've gotten away from that with cowboys and mason jars and and all these things, which has its place. I'm not criticizing anybody that likes that, but I think it has gotten a little too far, and it is fun to see it swing back now on some of the other patterns and some of the other styles. One of the things I saw on TV just recently was this new lace where half of the dress is coming out in one particular kind of a style, and then the other half of the dress is coming out in this kind of see-through, very, very fine, very clear type lace, and then these heavy 3D patterns, which I think look very feminine. I mean, I think it looks incredible.
Interesting.
Yeah, so instead of having a dress that's one particular pattern, they'll have, they'll have one style which will be very A-framed and very stylized into that one style, maybe a Jackie O kind of a look. But then the other top will be heavy lace, very see-through, plunging neckline, and long sleeve. And you kind of go...
See, that sounds like way more fun,
Oh, yeah.
For the industry, like you and I, we've been in this industry a long time. So we've seen a lot, and you can almost get to a point where you can predict trends or colors and what's coming up. So it's nice, when things like that come out, and it's a little exciting. I like to get
to see women
amped up about it. Yeah.
Yep, I love to see women dressed up. I love to see women shine. I think it's very empowering. I think it's a lot of fun for them to be able to have their say and do it the way that they like. And I've just always been very, very supportive of the wedding industry and the women's opportunity to put together their day. This is something that I've been thinking of for a long time, and whether it be lace or colors or design or, backdrops or whatever, any smart guy out there is just going to let her run with it. He'll have a say on a few things, of course, but any couple working together is pretty much going to understand that this is her thing, and she's going to run with it. Any smart guy will let her.
It's interesting because I've actually had quite a few grooms be a little more involved this year than usual. I think with women in this area, they tend to have full-time careers as well and have quite a bit of pressure on them. And sometimes if they have children already, that's an added, stressor for them. So it's nice to see, that their fiancés are kind of stepping up and taking responsibility for the wedding as well, because that's been happening. And it's actually been really nice, to get them both on the same page and be able to communicate. And it makes out for a great wedding too.
Yeah,
but I was going to say something.
Back.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say it wasn't too many years back that you didn't see that. The women would run with a particular style or a particular choice, or the guys just don't know what to say, so they don't say much. But it is interesting how in probably the last 5 years, I've really seen couples come together. It's very empowering that way.
Yeah, you even see more like at the wedding expos too, I've noticed. At the shows, there's a lot more men that are coming with their brides too, which is awesome.
And even in the booths, I mean, look at the businesses that we work with whose husbands and wives are now starting to work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
They might have separate careers. Yeah, they might have separate careers, but on the weekends or in the weddings, they're working together. They found that to be a very good positive plus for a lot of the couples that they work with.
Yeah.
So what was this new thing that you were going to say?
Oh, I was, you were talking about the trends for brides' dresses and whatnot, that, they're coming out with cool, interesting designs. But then I've also been noticing there's been a lot of better options for men as well.
There are quite a few changes.
Like a lot of patterned shirts and ties and, cool socks and shoes. Yeah, and vests and, interesting, ways for them to dress in menswear now. And there's even companies where they can rent a suit online and have it sent to them.
So what is your opinion? I mean, if a guy comes to you, obviously a woman should wear a dress or something that really is strong to her personality. Most of the time it's a dress. But
most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. If a gentleman comes to you and says, all right, Michelle, do I tux it? Do I suit it? Or what? What's your formal opinion on what a guy should wear?
My opinion is depending on their style of wedding and depending on his personality. Because I think it's the best if, let's say, he has, a different sense of style, that still shows through in what he wears. It's just as important with a groom as it is with a bride. They're both getting married. It's not just her wedding. It's his wedding too. And so by him selecting attire that is close to what he normally wears, but a little more dressed up, then it can show through in their wedding, and he can feel more comfortable being himself on the day of. And, it's interesting to see sometimes, they'll just wear like a white shirt with tan suspenders and, like khaki pants, and that's just enough, So, then others, they're wearing burgundy shoes with a navy suit and maybe like a blush tie. So, it's just different for everybody.
Now, do you have a feeling as to whether they dress up for the photos and then take off the jackets, for example, through the day, or do you think that you dress up to the occasion? what's the kind of sets of style here that you go a little bit more formal than just his personality, like you just said a second ago?
You mean in terms of their...
All the photography and the video that's being shot?
The photography.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think it's very important in general in life or in a special event that you present yourself as you normally would in public and be yourself. So I think if you do have a tux, that you try and get most of the photos and whatnot done earlier in the day, because you tend to get worn out by about cocktail hour.
Right.
You know, and I have a lot of couples lately who have been doing first looks, which actually I recommend, because then you can get mostly all of your photography done before the ceremony even comes, which is better because everything's cleanly pressed. You know, the gal's makeup's fresh. You know, the guys look good. They haven't had, you know, too much to drink, which happens sometimes. But, you know, everybody just looks more fresh. And then it allows more time, too, where you get to enjoy your ceremony. You get to enjoy your cocktail hour and reception and be a part of it, instead of, you know, using the whole hour during cocktail hour for photography. You know, you could be spending that time with your guests.
Hey, I appreciate it.
You're the host.
Right. I think these are some super wise tips for everybody who's listening. Michelle with Essence of Events. I'm Brad Buckles with bridesclub.com and the Wedding Expos, which will be taking place starting September 9th and 10th over at the Tacoma Dome. We are going to wrap up for the second half of our hour, and we were going to break away to a station identification and a word from our sponsors, and then come back with Deana Martin. Deana Martin, if you do not know, is the daughter of the famed Dean Martin, who needs say no more for introductions. We will be back shortly, and certainly thank Michelle and her time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Some of these tips and secrets behind the scenes that make you successful. And we'll come back in a moment.
But you should do it, you would dig it, cause you get good news. Every trip is true and true. Meet me on Swing Street, 52nd and Broadway, and we'll linger all night long, Melrose Land. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Viva ENT. This is Johnny the Capo. I'm here with my co-host Nina Khan, my producer, Mr. Eric C.C. Ryder, talent coordinator Jerry Osborne. Such an honor and pleasure to have Deana Martin on our show today. I'm so excited, I can't even see straight.
What an effect you have on him, Deana.
Well, you know,
I do that sometimes.
You know, the fact of the matter is that song was so dynamic. Deana, you definitely have the chops going there for sure.
Oh, thank you. Well, I inherited Dean Martin's voice and his name.
Like father, like daughter, right?
There you go. That is right. And it sounded so good. It's the first time I've heard it, on the radio. So that's I heard it over the phone, but that's the first time because it just came out.
World premiere.
You also got the looks,
great.
too.
Well, I think we get about 10,000 listeners on on a Thursday afternoon, and this show is going to be played tomorrow again at 4 p.m. here on KKNW. And the show's also going to be played Saturday down in Tacoma. So you're going to get a lot of coverage. So in other words, yeah, I'm sure our listeners just love it to death.
Not to mention that it will be archived there forever on the website.
That's correct.
Yes.
Forever and a day.
That is so super. It was so much fun to do this album. I tell you, we were so lucky. Well, now I have to tell you, we recorded this at Capitol Records.
Right.
Capitol Studios in Studio A.
The legendary.
Yes, that's where my dad recorded. And in fact, that's where I heard. I went with my mom when I was a very, very little girl to Studio A at Capitol Records, and I remember walking down the hallway with all the photographs on the walls of Peggy Lee and Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Bobby Darin, and we went into Studio A, and I sat there on a cold little metal chair with my mom. And I watched my dad record his very first #1 hit record, Memories Are Made of This.
Wow.
And so that's
awesome.
where I recorded this new Swing Street album, and it was so exciting.
Oh, my gosh.
Your dad's so proud of you.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
You bet.
I think so. You know, I think that he would just love this and the song selection, but also that we have such great arrangers and, the arrangers, producers, the songwriters.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for saying that. That means quite a lot to me.
Well, I
Well,
should
we
add to
second that.
I should add to
thanks.
that you have the looks, too.
Oh, well, thank you. You know, they say you should always pick the right parents.
Absolutely, 100%.
Dina, I need to nudge you in one direction here before we get away from the Capitol studio.
Uh-huh.
My hat is off to you, and it's because, unlike 99.9% of the music being recorded in recent years, you had every musician in the studio recording it live with you, just like Dean and Frank in the good old days, right?
Yes, and it was such a fun experience for me. Now, when you hear, when you get the album and you hear Bellissima, it's so fun because the band, the whole orchestra, when I say, pianissimo, and they all yell pianissimo, and they're all, they're not all the best singers, but they're the best musicians. And so to hear them, I kind of giggle when I'm singing the song, too, to be around all of these fantastic musicians and ask them to sing back up for me. It was just great. But, it's all about the arrangement. It's about being in that incredible studio with Patrick Williams and, Al Schmidt mixing the whole thing, and then Chris Walden. But these musicians, and a lot of them worked with my dad, to be there in that room with them, it was just, beyond belief. In fact, I spoke to Michael Bublé called while I was recording, and he had just come to L.A. for, I don't know what it was he was doing. He said he was just changing planes, and he gave me a call, and he told me, he said, I can see where you are. He said, I was just there last month recording my new album. And, and he did the same thing, put the microphone in the middle of the studio and just sang.
Cool.
Wow.
The thing is, that music, that style of music, it had so much dynamic. And when you got the great vocals going, and boom, you got the orchestra coming in with the horns, and the complete arrangement. It's like magic.
It is like magic, and to hear that and to watch the guys, and as I have a sizzle reel that will be coming out because we recorded it. They videoed the whole experience there, and to see these musicians, but to hear the interviews from these fabulous guys. And Patrick Williams said, I have assembled the greatest musicians in the world. He says, they're all here. He said, I really hardly have to do anything. He says, they sit there, they talk with each other in between, saying, are you going to play this? Is that a B flat or is that a concert C? He said, and they figure it out. And then he says, all I do is count it off, and then they take off. And it's true. They're just a professional, fun, exceptional musicians. So that's the way it should. That's the way it should be.
And those guys got the ear too. They got the ear. They know how to get to to those arrangements and the magic.
So I have a question, Deana.
Uh-huh.
How was it to have Dean Martin as your father?
He was so amazing. What you saw when you saw Dean Martin on his TV show, tall, dark, handsome, cool, funny,
Very handsome.
Sweet, kind. That's who he was.
Right.
And he was just he was a hugger.
Aww.
He loved to. He would come in. He'd hug everybody. That's the way we grew up. But he was, to me, when I think about it, he was so funny.
Really.
And that he could make humor out of, and it didn't even have to be funny. It was just the way he would say it.
That's awesome.
That's who he was. But he was kind. He was, as I say, he was fun. And being at the dinner table I was going to say on Mountain Drive, but with the Martins, 7 kids, mom, dad, and our grandmother lived with us for years.
Oh.
It was so funny because he would maybe he would pick up the salt and pepper shaker and put them up like they were binoculars and keep going, they're coming around the track. They're coming around the track. And the salt and pepper's falling out of the...
That's the best kind of dad you can ask for.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So he was fun.
How much influence did he have on your singing career?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because he influenced me quite a lot because he was just so amazing, and I loved his voice.
Of course.
But when I went to him and I said, Dad, I'd like to take, singing lessons, voice lessons, he said, why? Do you want to sound like everybody else in the choir?
Oh, my God. Okay.
And I went, and I was kind of like that. He says, get your own voice, Deana. He said, first find your voice, find out who you are before you do that, because you want to have your own sound.
Right.
He said it's important for people to know who you are, otherwise you're going to sound like everybody else. And he did tell me, he said, you should be able to identify who the singer is, like within the first few seconds of a song.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And but then, and I'm thinking that my dad said that because he obviously didn't realize or know that not everybody knows how to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I think it's because he had that beautiful natural voice.
Yes,
that he would. It was just. It was magical, and it was. He knows God given. But for us who didn't realize that we had that, we wanted to learn how to do it. I remember asking Frank Sinatra. I said, Uncle Frank, I said, as we were going to do. We were doing a show together, and we were going to sing, and I'm standing there, and I said, so Uncle Frank, how do you do it? How do you get that great tone? How do you sing? And, of course, then he goes, well, Deana, it's all about the air. You're taking a big breath, and you push from the diaphragm, and I can tell even before a note comes out if I'm going to be on pitch or not.
Wow.
I look at him, because, he gave me an answer, and I said, wow, does my dad do that? He says, no, your father has no idea what he's doing. He just does it. And it's true, when I listened to Uncle Frank, he worked for every note he hit.
Yes.
He really did. He was unbelievable, and he taught me about phrasing,
right,
and and timing, and learning the song, and living with it, and maybe not doing it the same way every time.
Right.
And that's what I learned from Uncle Frank.
And
my dad could pick up a song and sing it, and it would just be gorgeous,
effortlessly.
Yeah,
Nice.
true.
Yeah. Frank, was exactly the way you described, and Dean had this wonderful tone to his voice. It was almost like listening to the best way I can describe it is listening like to an angel singing.
Yeah.
It was so smooth. It was so, and I know Jerry is a big. I know that Dean's Jerry's favorite singer of all time. But mine too. I got to tell you a quick story, Deana.
Okay.
My dad passed a couple of years ago, and one of the very last things that I did with him is I went in and we watched the Dean Martin roast, and we must have did it for like 3 days because I knew that he loved him, and I knew that I loved him.
Who doesn't?
But when I was looking at my dad's face during those shows, I could see the level of happiness. Those shows were so great and so entertaining that I wasn't. I was a little younger, of course, at that time, but I fell in love with what they were doing on that show. I loved all the entertainers on that show. Nipsey Russell. There was all those great.
Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan,
Dom DeLuise.
Jesse White was on there.
Yeah.
All those great guys.
Foster Brooks.
Ronald Reagan was on there. Everybody, Frank, everybody
Foster was never sober.
What's the point of being sober?
Bob Newhart.
Great.
Yeah. And when I think about it, it was so much fun to do that show. Although everybody, all of the singers, everybody who was doing all the skits and the guest stars and all the dancers, everybody, we were there all week rehearsing. And Dad was not there.
Right.
He was on the golf course.
I heard.
But so we would, and Lee Hale, who was a music director, and he was the one who was amazing, he would wear a sign on his chest that said Dean. So he would stand in for my dad. And he knew how Dad would sing, and he would pick the songs that would be great. And so it would be Lee Hale who would do our numbers with us, pretending he was Dad.
Fun.
And it could have been, maybe it was Juliet Prowse. He was dancing with, but my dad did not rehearse. He would come in on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock after he played, 8 holes or whatever, a round of golf. And he would come in. He would read his cue cards. They would go through the songs with Les Brown and the Band of Renown. Then he would go out and do the show.
Such talent, huh?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody else could ever have pulled that off.
No one could have. And, it's amazing that Dean had such success with that TV show, because where others, like, I don't want to mention any names, but there was other entertainers of that time, of his generation and of his time, great entertainers that could not match that success on TV like he did.
You're right, and I think it had a lot to do, of course, with his sense of humor. He was comfortable. People would love for him to come into their house every Thursday night at 10 o'clock because it felt like Uncle Dean is here. It's my crazy uncle. And then there were the beautiful the dancers, the gold diggers, and the Ding-a-ling sisters, and all of the people who would come on and sing. And for me, I remember when I would do this show, and the first time I did the show, I had my first record out, and it was I'm trying to think, it was I think it was called The Bottom of My Mind or something, and I remember him making me feel so comfortable because I had recorded it on Reprise when he was with Reprise on Uncle Frank's Reprise album, and I recorded it, and I was of course nervous, and I came out and I sang a duet with Dad, and he introduced me to the audience. He said, "Yeah, this is my daughter." And he said, "So Deana, you're not afraid or anything, are you?" I said, "Well, I'm petrified." And he said, "Well, don't be." And he turned to the camera and he said, "Okay, ladies and gentlemen out there, don't pay any attention. I don't want you to make my baby girl Deana nervous or anything." And then I was able to sing my first song on his TV show. And I know that I would be out there singing, Swing Street with him, and these great songs that are on the album. And when he could sing with anybody, and I know he loved Ella Fitzgerald to be on his show, or the Mills Brothers, or I'm thinking Jack Jones, or Catalina Valente. All of the people, or Goldie Hawn. That one time was too funny when their skit. But all the people that he would sing with, it was amazing. He made everybody feel comfortable. Yeah. And so it's these songs that I'm singing on this album that people love. And, of course, he had, the Band of Renown with, Les Brown. So we're continuing on with this tradition of excellence with musicians and musicianship. So that's what we're keeping it alive.
And that piano player was Ken Lane, is that right?
Yeah, and Ken, and he would call him Kermit sometimes. And Ken Lane is he's the gentleman who wrote "Everybody Loves Somebody," and that's the song, right? Jerry, that.
Oh my God, Ken Lane wrote "Everybody Loves Somebody."
Ken Lane wrote that, and it knocked the Beatles out of first place.
1964. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So that was Ken Lane, and he was such a good guy, and he was just, fabulous. He would travel around with Dad.
So nice.
Deana, with all the talking about family, I don't want this half hour to go by without telling you how sorry we are about your loss of not only Ricky, but Mama Jeannie, too.
Yes, it's still a shock to all of us, but I have to say we had the best services for both of them. And for my mom now, because she knew she was sick and she had arranged everything, which is, I have to say this, and you'd have to know the Martins to understand this. She had arranged, and she's buried out there now at Pierce Brothers, near where Dad is. Pierce Brothers in Westwood in L.A. And my mom arranged everything, and she wanted the funny priest and valet parking. So these were her. This is what she wanted for everyone. She said, "I want everyone to celebrate." And so what we did was, for her service, we celebrated a life well lived.
Cool.
And it was just family.
Nice.
It was so wonderful. And I tell you, the priest, what was so great, he knew my mom.
Oh.
So he was able to tell stories that were funny. Because I remember her, when my dad passed, I remember her saying to when Jerry Lewis stood up and he was going to say some words about Dad, and he pulled out a paper, and Mother said, "Oh, Jerry, please, don't make it long and make it funny." And he said, "Jeannie," he said, "I can't make it long," or he said, "I can't make it short, and I can't make it funny." He says, "This is too important right now." But my mother remembered that, and she said, "I want everybody to just celebrate and have a great time at my service." And that's what we did. It was, of course, the priest was he was wonderful, and he sent us away with fabulous warm feelings. But it was a celebration of her life, and so that was very nice. And then we had the one for my darling brother Ricky, and they had a trio, and we had a service for him, and it was again a celebration of his beautiful life with lots of photos all around, and his daughters, and family. So it was, and he had a great life, So all of us, and we don't know how long we're on this earth for, and so we celebrate the time that we had with them.
And we count our blessings.
Yes, we do, and I've had so many.
You are a very lucky woman, and it's a pleasure to have listened and talked to you today.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, wait till you hear this fabulous new album. It's going to be on your favorite. I don't know if you have an iPhone or
iPhone. It is. Who doesn't have an iPhone these days?
On iTunes or
everything.
Whatever. Yeah. No, it's great. And how amazing it is now to be able to just take around your iPhone or your little player, and you can sit on a plane. You can sit anywhere, and you hear
all
this great
time.
And you can get anybody right there, and it's amazing to be able to have all that music. And technology, today is amazing.
It's fabulous. We're down to 3 minutes, Deana.
Uh-oh.
Anything you want to say during that time?
Well, next year, 2017, will be my dad's centennial. All right, so we'll be celebrating his 100th birthday.
Wow.
We are putting out.
Nice.
We are right now in the middle of recording a documentary. We're doing a documentary for him. We've interviewed, Florence Henderson and Bob Newhart, and so many people. It's going to be a great documentary about an unbelievable talent, is Dean Martin.
Absolutely.
Last year I did so many shows for Uncle Frank Sinatra for his centennial.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be doing that this year, and we're making my book into a movie.
Yes,
and I'm
what about that?
celebrating this. Well, I know, and it's going to be. I'm taking my time with that. I want this documentary to be fantastic, but I want the movie to be absolutely perfect and respectful and wonderful. So we'll take our time.
Let's get you back on the show when you're ready to launch that, too.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm just excited about Swing Street, the album, and being able to come on your show and do that and talk about all these great memories is an honor for me also.
I was telling my co-host and my producer earlier about the story that you told last time you were on our show when you met Elvis.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Can you say
at Paramount? Yes, I went to visit my dad at Paramount, and this is when they had their dressing rooms, and it was right out. You'd walk out the door. It wasn't a hallway. It was right out of the parking lot.
All right.
So I was standing outside my dad's dressing room and with my sisters, and I see this man driving up on a bicycle, and I'm thinking, and as he gets closer, I realize it's not a man, it's Elvis Presley.
Wow.
It was like, oh my gosh. So he got off and he talked to Dad, and he said, "Are these your daughters?" And Dad said, "Yes." And he introduced us, and Elvis got down on one knee and he took my little hand in his.
Oh.
He had a big hand, and he looked at me and he said, "I love your dad."
Wow.
He said, "And they call me the king of rock and roll."
Oh.
And he looked me in the eye and he said, "But your dad is the king of cool."
Wow.
And I wanted to die. I mean, I didn't want to wash my hand. I just wanted to melt. I mean, it was
That's the best
that
moment.
was Elvis Presley.
I'm out of
Elvis
time,
Presley.
Deana. Tell our listeners about your website, your Facebook, everything
Love
real
you,
quick.
Deana.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, come on to DeanaMartin.com, and you'll see where I am, and come see one of my shows and get the album.
I will do that.
Jerry,
All
who's
right.
on the show next week?
the return of Jean-Marc Gargiulo because he didn't get a chance to tell everyone about his meetings with Elvis.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Viva ENT. Our guest has been Deana Martin. We'll dig you now and see you later because you're a fine sweet potato. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Jerry. Love you, Deana.
52nd and Broadway, and we'll linger all night long at Roseland, where the big band wails and the brass sure can play.
Is your vehicle needing some attention? Take it over to Maddie's Tuning and Shoreline for fast, affordable car care. Trusted, professional. Maddie services all makes and models and has been trusted in the Puget Sound for almost 60 years. Call Brian Maddie at 206-364-3347 or stop by his convenient location in Shoreline right on Aurora at 152nd. Maddie's Tuning. Call 206-364-3347. Trusted for almost 60 years to keep you safe and on the road. Dr. Amanda Wong and the team at Art of the Smiles provides comprehensive dental services at affordable prices. Their convenient location in Federal Way and their extended hours fits the needs of both families and working professionals. Whether it's transforming your smile through some of their cosmetic therapies or simply having your teeth cleaned, Art of the Smiles provides individualized care plans that address your priorities and needs. Visit artofthesmiles.com or call 253-839-4048. That's 253-839-4048 for same-day scheduling. Most insurance is accepted, from cosmetic procedures to implant placement, molar root canals treatment, or wisdom teeth extractions.
This is Johnny the Gangster with Viva Productions, King of Entertainment. One-stop shop for all your entertainment needs. We have DJ service for weddings, corporate, and private events. Thrill your guests with Vegas Nights Casino Party, blackjack, craps, roulette, poker, and more. We also have event photography and limousine service. Call Viva Productions 206-542-5733 or find us at viva-productions.com. A little less conversation, a little more action, you got it. Call Johnny the Gangster. I'll make you a deal you can't refuse.